Well, hi and welcome to another LRCC Soundbite. I'm going to take a slight detour from reading the stories about Jesus that Luke recorded for us in the Bible, because today is a really special day in the church. Today is often referred to as the birthday of the church. It's a day of great celebration. Couple that with the Jubilee that's happening as well. Double reasons to just have an amazing time this weekend. A few weeks ago, I talked about Easter. The time when Jesus died on a cross in order to enable all the wrong things that we have done ever to be forgiven. 3 days after his execution, he came back to life again. That was Easter Day. Well, over the next 40 days, Jesus was back, eating and drinking with his disciples, but somehow different and yet still the same. Then on the 40th day, Jesus went back to heaven. Churches remembered that about a week and a half ago. Just as Jesus was about to go, he promised that he would send a helper for everyone who put their faith in him. You see, Jesus had already told them that the only way to be saved and spend eternity with God in heaven was to trust Jesus and ask his forgiveness. But Jesus, and everyone else for that matter, realised this was not going to be easy. So what would this helper be like? 10 days later, the disciples would find out. They spent those 10 days locked away, praying to God, but afraid of what might happen to them if they were found out, as followers of Jesus. All of a sudden, on the 10th day, something rather strange happened. They couldn't really describe it. The best they could manage was to say, well, it was like a great wind swept through the room, even though the doors were locked, and something like tongues of fire settled on everyone who was there. Then things got really weird because the fear they had felt disappeared. And they started to find they could do strange things that they couldn't do before, like speaking in languages that they'd never learned. One of them, a close disciple of Jesus called Peter, went outside and started telling people in the streets all about Jesus and what he had done. That message was heard and understood simultaneously by people who all spoke different languages. And yet they all heard it in their own language. Something quite amazing was happening. By the time he'd finished, 3,000 people had heard and believed what Peter had said and put their faith in Jesus. That is how the church was born. That's how it all started, nearly 2,000 years ago. So what happened after that? Was that promise that Jesus made that for that helper only available for those then? Well, no, his promise was that it would be available for everyone who ever accepts Jesus. Not in the first few weeks, not in the first few years, but always. That means even today, when someone new puts their faith in Jesus, this same helper comes to them. Maybe not with a great wind or tongues of fire, but something amazing happens. Someone helps and guides and gives strength and abilities that you might not be expecting. Jesus promised we would never be alone. The church is bonded not just by our common belief and faith in God himself, but in God's Holy Spirit being right there and helping every single one of us. If you'd like to know more about this help, or what the church is about, or what it means to follow Jesus, do get in touch. We love to share our story, just so you can decide for yourself. If you are a Christian, then let me finish by wishing you happy birthday. And if not, why not ask what it means? You've not got anything to lose, because we're not here to force things on you. All we'll do, ever, is share our story. God bless you. I'll see you next week.